Good morning. I decided I'm going to make a video that encompasses the whole experience we've had with different things like diabetes and cancer. Okay, so it's going on 3 years for me. I had a stroke. When I was morbidly obese, I found out that I was diabetic when I was getting all kinds of brain scans with the stroke. And I remember the diet my mother told me about because they had prescribed three different medicines, one for metformin for the diabetes, one for cholesterol, and one for high blood pressure. But I remember this book my mom gave me 30 years ago because her nice way of saying I was fat. And I read it, but it was a Atkins diet book. It was called the New Revolution back in the 90s. And, everybody said he was crazy back then, and they dissed him, and they said all kinds of bad things about him, and you name it. But now in 20, 30 years later, you go to the store and everybody is talking about keto diet. And that's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. It was the Atkins diet. That was a keto diet. He went about it wrong by telling everybody to eat fat constantly, fat. People just hear that and they just go, no, this can't be right. And they used to think it was messed up. And you do the diet for a little bit, you lose some weight, and then you go back to the routines, you gain the weight back, because that's what it is. It's just like any other diet. You stop it and you gain the weight back. But if it becomes a must diet, like you will die if you don't do specific diets, you'll take it seriously.
Lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. It's not just a quick lose 20-pound thing. And that's what happened to us. Okay, first it was me. And then in February of that year, the next year, I should say, my wife gets diagnosed with breast cancer. And it was bad. They said it was metastatic, HER2 positive, malignant. She had 3 months to live. She didn't do anything. So it kind of freaks you out, Thank God I was in the room with her because I wasn't the one with cancer. She was. So it doesn't blow my mind like it blew hers, because it will. You will panic because all this lifetime of terror is going to come on you. And so she said 3 months to live without treatment, 3 years with treatment. Now get this. The first part of the treatment, the chemo, the radiation, and all that nonsense was going to take 8 months. Then they were going to expand her chest and do all these operations, and that was going to take about 3 or 4 months more for the mastectomy. And then they were going to radiate her and all that other stuff. So we said, wait. She said no, because if I only got 3 years with treatment, that's what they told her. She's going to die no matter what, either in 3 months or 3 years. She says, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to do anything. I'm just going to enjoy my life. And I'm like, what? Oh my God, I'm panicking. So I decided now it's the time to figure out what cancer needs to grow. That was the only topic I was looking for. And I, just some searches, and I came across this doctor, and I'm gonna hold it up for you because I'm not high tech. Dr. Thomas Seyfried. I don't know if I hold it up long enough, but write it down. Stop, pause the video, go. Okay. Dr. Thomas Seyfried has been studying metabolic disease for decades. He picked up on the research from a Dr. Otto Warburg. This guy's Nazi, left Germany and kept working, got a Nobel Prize for something else. Guy's smart. Well, Seyfried and Atkins both noticed this research this guy did. Atkins in the 60s came up with the Atkins diet in the 60s. And my mom was one of his patients in New York. Crazy as that sounds. And she told me about this diet. She was never really skinny because she did it as a diet. Whenever she wanted to lose weight, she wouldn't say anything. She would just cut out carbs, and she would lose weight and then go back to eating regular. Eventually, she wasn't real fat when she passed away a year ago, but she maintained her weight well. Anyways, so my wife is saying she's not going to do anything. She's not going to do any treatment. But I remembered when I read that Atkins book 30 years ago, I have to thank my mom because she's actually the one who saved our lives. That book said that the keto diet or Atkins diet helped with cancer. It didn't say anything big like you do this and it will stop it. Didn't say that. It said it helped with cancer. It helped with diabetes. It didn't really pronounce a cure for anything except weight loss. That's what it was about. But it was a heart diet. So, I say my heart's messed up from all this bad eating. So I tell my wife, let's do some research on what cancer needs to grow. And that's when we came across Thomas Seyfried. Thomas Seyfried was explaining to the world many times, he's been around for a while, that cancer is not a genetic disease. Genetic might be a reason why you can catch cancer. It might be in your genes that you can get cancer because your gene mutations or whatever. But cancer is a mutated cell that grows irregularly. It ferments, not like regular cell growth. And it doesn't know how to die. It's like a zombie virus. It does not know the word apoptosis. Now you can look all these words I'm saying up because I'm not a scientist, but I've learned all this. Regular cells live a certain length of time and then they die and they're replaced by new cells. It's called apoptosis. But cancer does not understand that. Cancer just grows and grows and grows and it turns into a giant tumor. And it starts spreading around your body. These mutated cells latch on to other things and they're looking for food. They're like zombies looking for brains. It's pretty disgusting. What Seyfried discovered is there's only two things a cancer can use to grow. And every cell needs to grow or it doesn't grow. And if it doesn't grow, it doesn't expand its size. The tumor stays the same size. Remember, I've always said it's a tool. Okay, so the cancer can't grow without sugar, which is glucose, and glucosamine. And that's an interesting thing because even if you stop eating all sugars, your body still produces something called glucosamine in your liver. It's an essential amino acid. Yeah, that's technical, and I'm not an expert at that, but you need it. Now, Dr. Seyfried, if you start researching him right now, you'll see that he's doing studies on how much glucosamine can be blocked. It's called pulse therapy, and it's called DON. So this therapy they're coming up with actually stops the production of glucosamine, and you got to stop the eating of glucose. No food for the cancer, and it's working. But they still have to study it for 30 or 40 years, and me and you won't be around then. So you should listen to the first part of his studies. And his studies say, if you don't eat carbohydrates and sugar, the cancer cannot grow because the glucosamine is only 5% of its food source. So the cancer has to survive on 5% of its food source, which is basically nothing. That's what we did. And my wife, it's almost 2 years now. Remember, she had 3 months to live. She's going on 2 years and she hasn't died yet. Now, it's not gone yet, but we went back to the oncologist that literally fired her as a patient. She said, if you're not going to do any treatment, there's nothing we can do for you. So my wife has been on her own this whole journey. No doctor has wanted, she's seen 7 different doctors. 4 of them were oncologists. 3 were referred oncologists from our primary. And one of them was a friend oncologist my cousin worked for. So they all said the same thing. And why did they say the same exact thing? Because the standard of care has been issued. Once they say, well, this is the standard of care, you'll hear this word, if you have cancer, then you have to follow this or we won't want to do anything. Because if they don't, they can lose their medical license because they'd be experimenting and it's not authorized. You don't want it. And I understand that they don't understand certain things because when we went to all the doctors, every one of them said the same thing. Well, if you're in ketosis, the chemo will work great. Like if it's supposed to be a tool. And they all said you would do great on chemo. But none of them said stop the keto diet. None of them. And none of them recommend it. And why do they not recommend it? Why? Because if you've got cancer, you can't chance a cheat day. You've got cancer. It's a serious thing. A cheat day feeds the cancer. That's not just, I had cake, yummy. It's the cancer's getting fed. So you got to understand that part of the keto diet for cancer. It's not the same for diabetics. Diabetics is not as serious as cancer. I mean, you might feel a little weird because you've got an extra amount of insulin required. Maybe your pancreas isn't producing the right amount of insulin. Who knows? If you stick to the keto diet, you will fix that diet, type 2 diabetes. Not type 1, but type 2. It's also good for Alzheimer's, dementia, and brain disorders because it's all inflammation. Inflammation feeds on glucose and glucosamine. So that's all known things. The keto diet was originally invented for epilepsy, and it worked way back in 1919. However, they developed a pill. The pill makes life easier, so everybody goes with the pill. If you'll notice now, Wegovy and Ozempic, they fight, prevent 12 different types of cancer. They just had a news bulletin on it. And why is that? Because it blocks the sugar. It's obvious. Now, Wegovy and Ozempic, hallelujah. It's going to be great. People are going to be able to fight cancer from getting bigger. But then you have to, many people ask me about the keto diet and how do we go, where do we go to find out about it? This is the guy right here, Thomas DeLauer. Thomas DeLauer has a YouTube channel and he's awesome. The guy knows everything. He gets kind of scientific, but so you'll understand why the keto diet is so beneficial. Then you have some things that you're going to find out when you really start digging and all the research. How does cancer absorb the nutrients it needs? It has something called microtubules. If you ever see a picture of cancer, you'll see all these little tentacles. Those are called microtubules. Those microtubules latch out into your body and take in nutrients and grow. Now, there's something that they use for brain cancer. This is an FDA approved thing. It's called, look at this carefully, mebendazole. Mebendazole blocks the microtubules from being able to absorb any sugar, all of it, even the glucosamine. The problem is, it's not a 24-hour lasting pill. It only lasts about 12. So after 12 hours, then the cancer starts absorbing some glucosamine again. And they don't have that perfected, but it works because they give it to you for brain cancer because that's a very delicate type of cancer. If it grows too much, it'll kill you. I mean, there's no room up there. It's a skull. Everybody knows that. So my wife couldn't get anybody to prescribe mebendazole because that would be an off-label treatment. She has breast cancer, not brain cancer. You know, it's all complications and things like that. So she takes all these things. Let me put the list up, put it right here so you can, I'll hold it up for a second. And the first one there is fenbendazole. Now, I want you to, let me hold it up again. You Google both of these, mebendazole and fenbendazole, and you'll see that they do the exact same thing. One's prescribed and one's just over the counter. What these drugs do is they block the microtubules from being able to absorb glucose. Now, my wife's been taking all these other things that everybody says, turmeric and, you know, lion's mane. I don't know how to spell some of them, like ashwagandha. She takes all of it. As long as it doesn't harm you, she takes it. Because what do we know? You know, as long as it doesn't harm you, everybody says fight cancer, so she's taking all the B vitamins, you know, ascorbic acid, which is vitamin C, everything. So all those things she's taking too. But what we've discovered is the fenbendazole early in the morning blocks all sugar. Now, ever since she started doing that, something happened that the last oncologist told us would happen. If we fast or do extreme keto diet, she might start oozing out of the cancer. Now, the only reason our situation's been different is because the cancer's on the surface. We can actually see it. And that's what happened. She said it would start oozing. When she said that, we were like, oh, so maybe it'll come out by itself someday. We were like, no, I don't know if that's what's going to happen. But we take the fenbendazole early in the morning before she eats anything. And all of a sudden, not only did the fat necrosis that had developed from the biopsy start disappearing, but the cancer started getting smaller. So a year later, we go back to the fourth oncologist, which threw her out. I think she thought we were going to go back because we changed our mind. But it's almost 18 months. I mean, my wife should be dead according to them. So we go back and she examines the tumor and she's in shock. She doesn't recommend any of the stuff she was recommending. She tells us, I don't know what it's called. It's some kind of she's going to put a spigot in there that draws the skin together and lets the fluid out. So I guess cancer's going to be pouring out of her. I don't know. Stay away from that fluid. Anyways, that's what's supposed to happen. And she gave us the appointment in January. And she told us she wants her to do 2 5-day fasts. 5 days is a long time to not eat anything. I mean, your brain tells you need food, so you start getting nervous and getting all uppity because you want to eat something. But we've discovered, now mind you, I'm going to my 3rd year on the keto diet. 3rd year. Is what we discovered is when you fast, the gold standard they want you to do, the minimum is 3 days. Because when you fast for 3 days, on the 3rd day, you start producing stem cells. But what we've learned is when you're already in ketosis, you don't need those 2 days to become, go into ketosis and start producing stem cells. You're already there from day 1. So if you do a 3-day fast and you're already in ketosis, that's like equivalent of a 5-day fast. It's. I know it sounds crazy, but you got to start thinking logically. When you're a regular person that goes on a 3-day fast, the first 2 days, just to get rid of the sugar in your body. The 3rd day, you're in ketosis. When you're a regular person trying to do the keto diet, you get what's called the keto flu, because your body demands sugar. So you start feeling like if you're a drug addict, you're wanting sugar instead of crack cocaine. It's crazy things. But it happens. You start feeling sick. So you should start on a Friday. And I always say this because you got the weekend and Monday you'll be feeling great. But you should start right now because it's not good to be taking in all the carbs that we take in on a regular basis. And why are we talking about that? I've heard people saying, "Oh, they're no fat diet. They're vegans. No fat. They don't eat any animals. They don't whatever the diet you're on." If you don't burn all the carbs you eat, your body turns those carbs, the extra carbs, into fat. So you don't have to eat fat to get fat. The body converts things. So then you have to exercise. Make sure you exercise enough to burn all those calories or they will get stored. The difference is the keto diet, your body's just burning all the fuel. Yeah, you'll lose more weight if you eat less. Of course, your body's got no new fuel, so it eats the old fuel. It's logic. It's common sense. It's very, very common sense stuff. So when the doctor said to us to do 2 5-day fasts between now and January, we were like, what? She's telling us to do what definitely wouldn't work before. Now she agrees because she saw it. I don't know if we converted this doctor. I hope we did. I'm just out here now because I feel like it's my duty to help my friends and family and people that have friends and friends of friends to know that you can fight cancer. Even if you do the standards of care, don't feed it. Stop feeding that thing. Simple. Stop feeding the cancer and it won't be strong. Your body has the ability to discard cancer in the very beginning. The problem is with all the sugar we're taking in, the cancer is growing faster than the good cells in our body can kill it. It's growing faster than they can be killed. And that's what's happening. People just eat carbs like it's going out of style. You think about it. On a keto diet, now, the new terms are 15 carbs a day. You probably eat, I don't know what the government says, but probably 300 or maybe more every day. I mean, the other day, we were given we were eating the cheese dip at Chili's. And I curiously said, let me check this cheese dip that we were eating with our chips, of course, because we have keto chips. We can't eat theirs. And when I looked it up, thinking that cheese is one of the things you can eat on a keto diet, it had 169 carbs. They must have injected carbohydrates into the cheese. I don't understand. I just blew my mind. And we had eaten half already. So between me and my wife, we had 40 carbs each just from the cheese dip. So we were like, oh no. We had to go immediately to the mall and walk it off. Just because we assumed that cheese didn't have carbs. It's just crazy that they would do that, but it did. So on a regular basis, one soda has 160 carbs. It's like, I don't even know how they get so many carbs in there. It's a lot. So you got to be real careful. Go look for keto things. Don't assume sugar-free means keto diet friendly, because we've seen many things that have carbs in it. When you see the carb count, then they'll subtract dietary fiber. And I don't know how accurate that is. When I'm really taking it serious, 'cause for whatever reason, she needs to do a fasting day, we cut it down to zero for that period. We don't even eat net carbs because it's important. Now, there's other things like maltitol, some sugars that they're shown in the carbohydrates, but you subtract them out because they're alcohol sugars. And basically, the body doesn't process those things. And I'm just going on and on, but I wanted to make a recap video so you know all the process that we've been through and what we've taken as far as supplements and what we've learned about certain things, and just got to Google it and look in and research, and don't just take one person's word for it. I never do. I'm just living proof. I mean, my wife's right there working next to me. She doesn't want to be on video, but she's alive and well and she's feeling great. And you can be too. We want you to survive. If you're my friend, please stick around. I can't. The problem with my stroke is this sentimental thing in my brain going on. I don't want anybody to die anymore. So let's come together and have a good day.